Hey gang, Kris Krohn here with Limitless Wealth TV, and today I'm bringing on Stephen Michael Miller to talk about how to become a landlord in real estate.
Hey friends, Stephen Michael Miller here, and I'm talking today about becoming a landlord. Now, this is a topic that you've probably been wondering for a while, especially if you're first getting into real estate. If this is your first go around, you're wondering to yourself, how do I kind of just get started? And how do I become that landlord? I want to speak to that. I remember my very first home that I purchased. Now, my very first home that I purchased was a single family home. It was a home that I was going to be moving into. That was my plan. And that was the very first home actually that I turned into my very first investment property. But before I go there, I want to talk about just, first of all, becoming a landlord is as easy as buying an investment property. Now, buying investment property, although this is maybe new to you, it's really not that difficult of a thing to do. One of the things that you have to do is, first of all, find out where you are sitting financially speaking, right? Where are you? What kind of assets do you have to work with? Have you saved some money? Have you put it away? Do you have access to maybe equity in your home? Do you have stocks or bonds or other investments that you're putting your money into right now? And if you do, how can you utilize those assets? How can you utilize those funds to buy an investment property? Because that's really what being a landlord is all about. Being a landlord is about having investment properties, investments that are paying you. So in order to become a landlord, oftentimes it's a function of just figuring out where you are right now financially, what assets you have access to, and then playing the shuffle game, right? Moving those assets that aren't working for you or aren't working as well for you, and to put them into areas that will. As a matter of fact, J.B. Shea, who was a 17th century French economist, J.B. Shea said one of the greatest ways to create wealth, or the only way to create wealth, is by moving assets from areas of lower yield into areas of higher yield. So becoming a landlord may look as simple as that, taking assets right now that currently are not working for you and getting them to work for you in a property that is paying for you. So you want to become a landlord, take a look at where you are right now financially and jump into an investment property that's going to be paying you and doing some really great things for you. Now, the second thing, that was the first thing. The second thing now, for you to become a landlord, if you aren't already, is that you can partner. You can partner with somebody else. If you don't have the assets, if you're looking at your financial situation, you pull up your laptop and you look at your bank accounts and you realize, man, I just don't have the assets that I need right now to move forward, then you can partner with somebody else who has the assets, somebody else who maybe even has the credit. If you have the wherewithal or the expertise, or if you're plugged into our team and we're part of your expertise, your team that you're bringing to the table, then you can find individuals out there who are willing to partner with you. They have the assets, they have the credit. And being a 50-50 partner on a home, that gives you access, that gives you that ability to become a landlord. Now, I want to go back to what I said in the very beginning here of this video, which is sometimes becoming a landlord is a lot more simple than we think. But sometimes it takes a little bit of a different sacrifice. My very first home that I turned into my very first investment property was my primary residence first. Kris Krohn did the exact same thing. His very first home that he purchased here in Utah was this little dinky home, nothing to look at. I remember actually when he first went and bought this home, we went over there and we helped him fix it up, and we tore out some of the old and put in some new and made it nice, and he lived in the top while he rented out the basement and eventually moved out and turned the whole home into an investment property. Now, if you're in a home right now that's just your primary residence, and if you're willing to delay gratification a little bit, I'll tell you what I mean by this. And so many of us, because we're here, a lot of you anyway, that I'm here in America, I'll just say for me, I'm here in America, and the American way oftentimes is grow bigger, go better, trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? I'm always, a lot of us are always kind of looking for the next greatest and best. But if you're willing to delay gratification for a moment, then you can have opportunities that you otherwise would never have. In other words, instead of maybe selling off the home that you're in right now and upgrading to the biggest home that you can, if you can delay that, if you want to turn your first home into an investment property and then buy another home as a primary residence, that may not be your dream home yet, but that could also be an amazing investment property. This can help you also to become a landlord over and over and over again. But even just taking that first home and turning that first primary residence into an investment property is critical. Number one, you've got it for cheaper money. What I mean by that is you've bought this home as a primary residence, which means you've got a primary residence loan on it. Those are typically cheaper in nature. It doesn't cost as much. You oftentimes have put less money into that property to control it. And so if you want to become a landlord in the most easy way, then it might look like turning your primary residence into your very first investment property. As a matter of fact, I made a post on social media just a couple days ago, and I had one of my very first tenants jump in and say, "Hey, Stephen, thank you so much for that opportunity. That was amazing. That was a wonderful experience for me." But it was made possible because I took my primary residence and became a landlord first off of that amazing that opportunity, off of that property. So we've got buy a property. So just buy an investment property. We've got partner up with somebody, or take your primary residence and turn that into your first investment property. Now, bonus, okay? I wanted to give you a little bit of insight here because I think a lot of us get into this game of becoming a landlord, and we have a very specific idea and picture of what being a landlord actually is. So I want you for a moment, I want to ask you this question. What does being a landlord mean to you? What do you picture? Do you picture yourself knocking on doors and collecting rents? Do you picture yourself, sitting back on your chair and, pipe in your mouth and a smoker's jacket? Like, what do you picture as being a landlord? And if you think about the olden days, you go back to even England, right? The gentry, the landowners, the landlords, they oftentimes didn't have their hands in it. Meaning, although they owned the land and although they had a lot of benefit from it, they weren't in the mix. They weren't necessarily out there collecting the rents from the people that were in their properties, right? They weren't out there giving notices. They weren't out there necessarily doing all that interaction. They had teams of individuals who were doing it for them. So here, this is just the whole concept of being a landowner or being a landlord versus doing the landlord things. You can be a landlord without landlording. And I think it's really important to make that distinction. We've talked about this many other times, but I think it's really important to understand that if you want to be a landlord, but you don't necessarily want to get your hands all in the mix, you don't want to, be all in the weeds, then you can be a landlord without landlording. And really what that looks like is allowing yourself to step away from the day-to-day, having the overall view and picture, be the CEO of your business, of your real estate business, but get and gather the proper team, put them in place to be able to have a successful run at it without necessarily having to do it all yourself. So if you want to be a landlord, it can be pretty simple. I've given you 3 ways to do that, as well as that bonus of do I really want to be a landlord and landlord, or can I be a landlord without landlording? If this is your first go at it, get after it, become that landlord, get your first investment property, and maybe that looks like turning your current home into that investment property. But whatever you do something. If you want to learn how also you can do this without getting all in the weeds yourself and maybe acquire a team, click on the link up here and learn how Kris and I can also help you to get involved, become a landlord without landlording on your own. We'd love to help you out. And with that, everyone, have an awesome day.
Steven's a fun guy. I love having him on the channel. We've been friends now for nearly 20 years. I hope that you enjoyed having a chance to learn from him today. He's got an incredible wealth of knowledge. Connect more with Steven and myself on my website. Go ahead and click over here, and me and my team will go ahead and get you more educated on your different options, how you can get into real estate, and start making it happen now.